Hi, I'm Michael Chait, President of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber, and you are watching South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux.
Welcome to South Jersey Business. I'm your host, Joe Molyneux. The show is designed to provide information, conversation, tips, and techniques to keep you in the know and to help your business grow. On today's show, we will feature Michael Chait, who is president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce. I have known Michael for over a decade, and I have watched him lead the chamber to new places and opportunities for business in our region. So without further ado, let's get right to the show. Michael, welcome to South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux.
Hey, Joe, how are you? Thank you for having me tonight.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. How did you first get involved with the chamber, and when did you get the role of president?
I started involvement with chambers when I was younger, certainly in my time in Cape May when I was there. And then at the Press of Atlantic City, as marketing director, I was on the communications committee for the Greater Atlantic City Chamber. So I spent a couple of years, probably 3 years, on the communications committee with the chamber, learning about the organization, how we convey our message. At that time, I was recruited to join the chamber as executive vice president to, follow Joe Kelly, who was the president of the organization for 25 years, pretty big shoes to follow. I became president, great timing, of January 1 of 2020.
We all know what happened then.
Yeah.
What exactly does the Greater Atlantic City Chamber do for its members?
It's a great question. It's probably the number one question we get across the chamber industry and business association industry. There's the three main things that you can look at that we do. One is advocate. We're the voice of the business community, certainly for Atlantic County. We have 400 members, we have 60 board members, but it represents tens of thousands of employees in the Atlantic County region. So we advocate on behalf of the business community to our elected officials, both on a local, regional, state, and certainly a federal level as well. We connect our members, we connect with elected officials, we connect with stakeholders, and then probably what might be most important is we inform. Chambers are looked at as a credible source of information, especially from a business community standpoint. And that information that we disseminate outwards is geared to really help the business community grow and thrive. So we're kind of a cog in this big wheel as a resource for the business community.
I know from past experience that you maintain and have a dedicated board of directors that help guide you in the decision making, and they're very much connected to their community. How do you maintain a board and the quality of the people that continue to serve on that board?
Yeah, that's another great question. 60 board members, and some of our board members have served for, more than a decade. They're committed to the region. They see incredible opportunity in Atlantic City and Atlantic County. You have to keep them energized. It's a volunteer basis that they serve on our board and on our committees. So the way I look at it is that if we take direction from our board of directors and our executive committee, when we take that direction, if we're able to go forward and make a difference and be an agent of change in our marketplace, that keeps them engaged and enthused because they are volunteering a significant amount of time. And it's hard to get CEOs and COOs and executive level officials to engage with the board unless you're producing. So I think the more you produce, the more you're able to do, the more you're able to connect and provide access and information, they stay engaged. And I think that goes to the history of the chamber and the commitment to our incredible board members that having access to their experience and information and talent is unbelievable. They're a tremendous group of leaders in our region.
Michael, what is one of the most important lessons you've learned in leading the chamber?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. When you have 60 board members, you have 400 members, you're dealing with a lot of elected officials. There's a lot of agendas in the room, and learning how to balance those agendas and how to move your effort forward to better the community is certainly something I've learned to do over the time. But I think that the most important thing that I've learned at my time at the chamber is really the power of a connected business community. The being the voice of that business community and having the support of your members and your board of directors and really collaborating with a number of stakeholders for overall quality of life improvement in our region is the ability and the opportunity to collaborate and connect, and the power of that is something that I've learned over this time that exceeded my expectations, certainly.
That is a great answer. The ability to connect and collaborate for the greater good. I think that's great. And that's a good place to take a little break. Michael, I want you to sit tight. We are talking with Michael Chait, president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. We are engaged in and thoroughly enjoying our conversation with Michael Chait, who is the president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber. Michael, how do you define success?
Great question, Joe. You look at success, I think internally, you've got to be happy with what you're doing. Whether it's professionally or personally, success always starts with happiness. From a business perspective, it's sustainability. You can be incredibly successful for a very short period of time, generate a ton of money, but it's sustainability for that model. Being a good community partner, generating revenue, growth, taking care of your employees from a business perspective, I think that's what it comes down to, is being able to sustain that model for a longer period of time.
Speaking of success, every time I turn around, or if I'm on a Zoom or just reading the paper or whatever it might be, someone's always commenting on how solid the chamber is and the great work you're doing in the community. So how do you, the board, the staff, how do you keep things moving forward and keep everything going in a positive direction?
Wow. Sometimes it's not always positive. Sometimes it's challenging, negative times you have to deal with. But I think that if you look at our structure and you look at how we make decisions as an organization, it really starts at a committee level. And we have 4 committees. We have an events committee, a membership and ambassador committee, public policy committee, and an economic development committee. Decisions are made or recommended at the committee level. It goes to our executive committee for a decision, and it goes to our board for final approval. So when we're advocating on something and we're looking at a piece of legislation, it starts with really in-depth, thorough conversation, and we'll bring in industry experts on the topic to provide additional guidance on that piece of legislation. We'll invite in the elected official who's a sponsor of that legislation to tell us the pros and cons of it. And that's how we make decisions, but that's how we keep moving forward. There is always something for us to do, always.
I like that. And I've been witness to that, so I can actually say that's exactly how you do what you do so well. What is one of the initiatives, events, or things that you do at the chamber that you're personally most proud of?
I tell you, it's a tough question because there's a lot of good things that we do as an organization, but how can you not be more proud of the Atlantic City Air Show? It's the state's largest event. More than 400,000 people visit Atlantic City. It stimulates the economy in a single day by more than $70 million. You have all these positives that come out of this event, but the greatest part of that event is because I'm running around like crazy at the event, doing everything from getting ice off the trucks to checking in on our sponsors. When you get a chance to settle down and you see the little kids with the giant smiles on their face, when the Thunderbirds fly overhead, or you see the veterans with a tear in their eye, there's so much pride in our country, in our members that serve, because we did change our slogan to salute to those that serve. This, you look at that event and you look at that pride that comes of it, and it's an incredible experience, and working with the military to put that together, just fantastic. It's incredible. A lot of work, but well worth it.
Yeah, I think we should spend just another question on that, or at least another comment on that. And I've been attending the air show, I think, every year since the air show has been in existence, because I was lucky enough to be involved in the board at the chamber and things like that in the past. And I do know that a lot of hard work goes into it, but I don't think I've ever had a better time on an Atlantic City beach than during those air shows, where you just see everybody's in good spirits. There's celebration, there's remembrance, there's excitement, and there's nothing better, like you said, than having the Thunderbirds or even the Blue Angels the year that they were there.
Yeah.
Your heart's pounding out of your chest, literally, right?
There's nothing like that, those jets ripping down the beach when you don't expect it and hear that noise. When they fly over Boardwalk Hall and fly right over Show Center, it is incredible. Just what a cool event. I never, ever imagined I would be ordering the jet fuel for those teams, or doing the social media, or, going to Las Vegas and booking the civilian and military performers. But that's what we do as an organization for that event. Pretty incredible.
we've covered business, and the air show is definitely a family event. So let me ask you a question about that. I've known you for over a decade. I've watched you be so successful at the chamber, but I've also watched you raise and grow a really great family. How do you balance all the work that's needed, the evenings, the nights, things like that, and a successful family life? Can you share it briefly how you do that?
Yeah, it's incredibly hard. Being in this role is a gift. I'm honored and humbled to be the president of this organization. But you never know when that phone's going to ring from a small business owner that has an issue or needs to be connected with somebody else. And certainly through the pandemic, as we move through everything, it created an enormous amount of opportunity for the chambers. Great challenge gives great opportunity. But when you take it home and you internalize it, you have to make time. You have to make time. I love going to my kids' soccer games. I love watching Marvel movies with them. Whatever we can do in that time is critical for your own sanity and to keep your family happy. Happy wife, happy life. And that time that we spent together, my kids are young. So I don't want to miss anything. And I give our board and executive committee a lot of credit for encouraging me to spend that time. Like, don't miss it. We've made those mistakes. Don't you make the mistake that some of us have made. So that's really great guidance from them. And I'm thrilled that they see that and encourage me to take that time. But it's not easy to do.
That's a great philosophy, Mike. I'm glad you were able to share that with the people. Now, I want you to sit tight, because when we return, we're going to put Michael Chait, president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber, to the test with the M4 Big Money question. We'll be right back. Time for the M4 Big Money question with Michael Chait, president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce. Michael, let's get started. Can you talk a little bit about your management style?
Yeah, I believe in situational management, situational leadership. During my time at Boardwalk Hall in the Atlantic City Convention Center and doing events, I spent 9 years there. You're put in a lot of different situations where sometimes, in the marketing department, we're responsible for overseeing portions of the event and event management. But having confidence and knowledge and information in order to step up or step back and let somebody else take that leadership role is the way I view things. It's really situational leadership, understanding what your role is in that moment and being able to step up and lead or step back and have confidence in your teammate, letting them step up.
That's great. A lot of people practice that, but I don't know as enough people know how to explain it. So thank you very much for making that so clear. I think you taught us all something today. How about marketing? How does the chamber use traditional forms of marketing to reach its audience, potential members, et cetera?
They're very critical to anything we do as an organization is marketing. You're looking at opportunities, whether it's email blasts or just phone calls. We make, with 400 members, we make thousands of phone calls a year to check in with our members and see how they're doing. Everything is a touch point, and we look at these marketing initiatives not only to inform and educate our members, but just to say hi. We're here. Do you need help? They're all part of our marketing message as we go out. And we collaborate with a variety of other organizations and business organizations to extend that marketing message that we are the voice of the business community.
Well, it's mean and it's green and it's something that we all need, right? Let's talk a little bit about money, the third M. How important is that financial piece and the money piece to the success of the chamber?
Money makes everything go. I mean, we generate revenue from our due structure, from our paying members, the 400 members. We generate revenue from the events that we produce. But that revenue that comes in, not only does it pay for the staff, but it allows us to go to Trenton, and testify on behalf of the business community. It gives us opportunity for marketing messages to invest in other forms of marketing opportunities to share that. But everything we do requires some level of investment. Communicating why you're investing in us in order to generate that revenue to carry out our mission, you need it to do anything.
That's true all the way around. Media, it's the fourth M, so we're in the home stretch here, and I know I guess we could talk a little bit more about this, but including the PR, the earned media, the stuff you get, but then the social media. Can you talk a little bit about the importance and how the chamber uses that to do what it does?
Yeah, earned media is very, very critical of what we do. Whether we're writing an op-ed and commenting on a piece of legislation, or something with the Department of Environmental Protection, about whether it's DEP regulations or sea level rise or legislation that impacts the business community. Another touch point for informing and connecting. It always goes back to that mission. Social media is enormous for what we do. We've created Facebook groups that have generated thousands and millions of impressions and connections to support the business community. All of this layers together, and how it all connects and how it supports our organization and gives us the greatest opportunity to support our community and make it a better place. That's where all this ties in. But the media portion of it, along with marketing and telling your story and being able to convey that message, it's so important in order to generate the revenue to support the mission. So it's all cyclical.
I love it. You're a marketing man through and through, but you're able to balance all four M's pretty solid there. Speaking of that, how important is it to balance all four M's in leading such a diverse and critical to the economy organization as the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce?
Well, that goes back to management, right, Joe? I mean, you look at how management is the most important component of all of this. How are you managing your money? How are you managing your media? How are you managing your members, your board of directors? You're getting pulled in directions all the time for different agendas, different initiatives. How do you manage that? When do you start saying no? I can't devote any more time to this cause or effort, just because we don't have the time to do it. It's managing that is critical to helping balance all of that. So I think that management's the most important as we look at balancing, your revenue generation, your expenses, your income, but that helps with how you're doing everything.
That's great. Michael, I want to thank you for that well-mixed and well-balanced answer to the M4 Big Money question. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Everyone here that's involved with the show appreciates each and every one of you that tune into the show each week. From time to time, we receive questions from our viewers, and we always do our best to answer them. Here's this week's question. I want to start my own business. In your opinion, what are the first things I should be doing to start the process? Well, that's a great question, and hopefully we have a great answer for you. It's as simple as A, B, C. Let's start with A. A stands for ask. Ask questions, just like the question you just asked me. Ask as many people, as many questions as you need to feel comfortable about the process and even on your way through the process. Continue to ask questions, and hopefully you'll find great answers to keep you moving forward. B stands for begin. Sometimes the hardest part when you're starting a business is just to take that first initial step. It could be part of sitting down and writing a plan, or going back to those questions that we talked about earlier. Don't be afraid to begin, and beginning will set you on the right course to following through and hopefully finishing and starting your business. Which brings us to C, continue. Continue to do something each and every day, even if it's only an hour a day, to move you and your idea for your business forward. And as you get closer, you'll see you'll spend maybe more time some days and sometimes less times when you're relying on other things like lending information or looking for the right location or selecting products or actually services that you can perform as part of your business. So there you have it. Ask, begin, and continue. And that should be a pretty good answer to getting you started on the process of starting your business. We'll be right back. We meet with many businesses and organizations that do great work within their communities. And the Greater Atlantic City Chamber and the president, Michael Chait, are definitely part of that fabric of the community that gives back and helps. Michael, you have two very special initiatives that you want to talk about on today's show. Can you share those with us, please?
Yeah, happy to. Appreciate the opportunity to do it as well. I think through the air show, creating the Atlantic City Air Show, we've become very involved with military and veteran affairs. In fact, at the air show, we created a veterans resource row with more than a dozen. I think we had close to 24 in recent years of veteran resources, for active duty and veterans. And it's everything from jobs and careers to support, emotional support, PTSD, addressing all these issues. So from that, it's grown. And it's been a real honor to help create an Atlantic Cape committee responsible for assisting and liaising with government officials to improve military and veteran relations in the community. Now, as you can imagine, that role can expand pretty considerably, but this is a relatively new initiative for our organization and enhancing our already existing strong relationship with military and veterans. So that's one of our initiatives that we're working on. It's going to take up a tremendous amount of time, but also for great cause. That's what we look at.
Michael, before we get to the second initiative, I think the Chamber is perfectly positioned for this role because you do have membership that includes healthcare. It includes job creation. It includes a network of businesses and resources that are already members that can help the veteran community. So I think it sounds like a perfect fit.
It is. It's a great fit for us. We may not have realized it before how good of a fit this is. But if you look at some of our existing board members that are doing job fairs for veterans, that are with partners like AtlantiCare that work with us on healthcare initiatives, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield, they're all engaged with the veteran and military community on some level. And here we are being that cog that we talked about before for a wheel and pulling all these people together to collaborate. I mean, it's really an ideal fit for us.
That's wonderful. Now, I know we have time to talk about the second initiative. You want to talk a little bit about some of the work you're doing with some area youth?
Yeah, we're doing a tremendous amount of work. We've brought together our board members, the business community, and partner with the education community in Atlantic County. We're creating a career exploration program. And well, what is that? What is a career exploration program for area youth? We learned through the military that the way to inspire and influence is really at a young age. It's at elementary school. So when we're talking about career exploration, you have to start at that elementary school. My daughter's a perfect example. She's 11 years old. You look at that age and what is she getting engaged with and what is inspiring her from a career choice. We have a tremendous amount of career opportunities here in Atlantic County, and it's a failure on all of us to not show what exists. So whether our talent pipeline that we're going to create, they're working for Atlantic City Electric or Stockton or anybody else, if they stay here in Atlantic County, we're all better because of it. Our greatest export is youth. Let's keep them here.
That's wonderful. And, I know that's just two of the many efforts that you're doing at the Chamber, but on behalf of the show and the community that you serve, I want to thank you and the members of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce for doing such a wonderful job in helping the community.
Greatly appreciate the opportunity, Joe. Always great talking to you. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back with more South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. Time to turn the spotlight on Michael Chait and the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce. Michael, what does the Chamber do?
So what we do as an organization, we're a 100-year-old organization, doing this for a long period of time, but we bring people together to discuss, idea share, and then take action to better our regional community. And by regional, I mean Atlantic County. That's our primary focus. And so what do we mean by making it better? We look at legislation, regulations, everything in that impacts our region that will improve quality of life, or maybe detract from it, and oppose certain issues and challenges that are coming up. But it's everything from supporting the appointment of a potential chief of police all the way to opposing federal regulations that are coming out that impact, not just our region, but it could be the entire state. So being the voice of the business community and being an agent of change for over 100 years is kind of what we do. It's not easy to do, but we do it with unbelievable, fantastic, and dedicated leadership from our board of directors.
Well, I think you started to answer the how part of it, but let's get into the weeds a little bit on that. How do you accomplish all that? I know you're going to talk about the people around you, but
Yeah.
let's get into that a little bit. How do you accomplish doing what you just said you do on a daily basis?
It really starts with network development. I mean, anything that we do requires collaboration. It requires input from leaders, stakeholders, industry experts across the board on any type of an issue that comes up. So what we do is we bring it to a community level. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's that committee level that discusses these topics and makes recommendations, incredibly important to the direction we take as an organization. Well, where do we go from there? Once we decide we're going to take action on something, support, oppose, or get involved with it, what are the next steps? And some of these steps, for example, the Atlantic City rail line, improving that. This doesn't happen overnight. This could take a decade for us to do, but we've been working on it for a long period of time. We'll continue working on it, but we're looking at driving solutions, very, very solution-based organization. But it takes that initial step for a member to bring it to our attention, an elected official to bring it to our attention, go through the committee process, get approval, and then almost a relentless pursuit of improvement.
I know this probably sounds like a softball question, but when I ask you who you do the work for, I think the easy answer would be the membership, of course, but it's really a greater benefit, right? Do you want to talk about really who benefits from the work that the chamber does each and every day?
It is, Joe. It's definitely a community benefit, and you can start at a hyper-local level from your residents, but it's also the visitors that come to our destination. It can be at the state level, people all over the place. There are chambers, there are dozens of chambers throughout the state. We all collaborate with each other. We all talk about issues. We want to make sure that we are as informed as possible before we take a position on something. But all that does, the priorities on the business community, because a connected business community is a thriving business community. And I think that's where we look. That's our primary goal. But it really is quality of life for our whole region.
Agreed. And it's working. All right. The final part of the spotlight would be, and this might require you to look inside of yourself a little bit, but why is it that you do what you do?
I don't have to look too far, Joe. I am born and raised in Atlantic City. I'm a local. This is my home. I've grown up here. I've gone to the beaches here. My first job was cleaning the beaches for Public Works in Atlantic City with a rake and basket. I've valet parked at the casinos. This is my home. My family has a small business here. So internally, I look at myself, I'm like, I'm raising my kids here. My wife's a teacher here. This is important, not just to me to be a leader in this community, but to contribute to its overall success. No question, we faced numerous challenges over the times, but being a part of the solutions that help improve quality of life here, it always goes back to that. But this is home. This is my home.
That's a great way to wrap up the spotlight. Michael, I want to thank you for sharing and allowing us to turn the spotlight on yourself and, of course, the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the time.
Well, that's the show. We had an engaging conversation with Michael Chait, president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to Stockton University and everyone that makes this program possible. Let's do it again next week. And until then, let's get growing, South Jersey. Thanks for watching.